Timeline. Premiere uses the classic timeline, where the video is positioned at the top and the audio is positioned at the bottom. The video is shown from top to bottom. I mean, we are seeing the top layer while the audio is being played simultaneously. If we need to edit lines, we will just put the video above the other videos, so additional lines are adding. Audio lines are added by the same analogy. The audio or video lines that appear in the process of moving are called standard tracks. There are several types of audio tracks: mono tracks, stereo tracks, tracks 51, standard ones that use with any type of tracks. Let's analyze the timeline panel and its notations. First, the blue vertical squares with a notation V1 and A1, 2 and 3 are the most important ones on the timeline. You can turn them on or off with a mouse click and drag them up or down. By default, they are located close to each other, symmetrically to the central line of division of audio and video lines. First of all, we'll analyze the blue squares, D1 and A1, located on the left side. They are recording heads. The name comes from the time of editing on tape recorders. There were some recording heads that recorded clips. Then it was digitized into the editing program from the tape. Let's analyze the example. We want to move a video to the timeline panel. When we drag it, it will move symmetrically along the standard tracks from the center line that is separating the video and audio. When we drag and drop a video from source to timeline by setting the symmetric position of V1 and A1, the video will be positioned on the timeline panel asymmetrically, like the recording heads. If the media source has settings for two audio mono channels, then accordingly one video line V1 will remain and two audio lines A1 and A2 will appear. In other words, the recording heads adjust to the original video and its settings. Second, other blue squares located to the right are called active tracks. They are used to create various effects, for example to move around the splices. When we move through the splices with the up or down keys, it will move through all the splices on the active tracks. If you disable all the video tracks, D1, D2 and V3, and one of the three audio tracks, A1, and leave A2 and A3 active, then we will have three splices on these two tracks, and it will move only on them. If you enable all active audio tracks, it will move through all the splices on the active tracks. For example, if we added another video on top, disable all active audio tracks, and enable only video tracks, then it will move through all the splices on the active tracks. It is useful to use Shift when you are moving along the active tracks. If we hold down Shift, it will ignore the active tracks and will move through all the splices that exist. The most common layout is when all the active tracks are turned on. You can click on any square with the press Shift key to avoid turning on each one individually. In general, Shift is a button to enhance functions. For example, you can choose all the squares or locks and other icons with the press Shift key at once. Everything is highlighted separately without the Shift key. Active tracks can also be used when you are copying videos. By pressing Ctrl+C, you can choose the desired video fragment and paste it into the free space with Ctrl+V. Then it is copied to the lowest active track, D3 and A3. For example, if we need to copy the video above the other tracks, above V1 and V2, and the audio below the others, below A1 and A2, we'll simply disable all active tracks and we'll enable V3 and A3. Then we copy and paste the video to any location. So the video and audio tracks will be set according to the enabled active tracks. Next, we have logs in the timeline panel between the recording heads and the active rows that block any audio or video track to make us disabled to break it. It's often used in situations of editing with music. For example, we're editing a certain music track that doesn't change during the editing process. You can simply block this track with a log in order to not accidentally cut or delete it. Fourth, we have an icon in the form of an eye, which serves to disable the display of the video track. For example, we have clicked it, so everything that lies on this track is not displayed. This function is most often used when we are creating titles. I mean, we put the titles above the other tracks and we need to record the version without any titles. We can turn off the track with the titles and record the version without them. Fifth, almost the same parameters are available for the audio tracks, mute and solo. With mute, we can disable a certain track and it's not displayed. And with solo, it's active. This parameter will block the playback of all other tracks. In other words, only the chosen track with the S function is played. There is a sync log, but I will not show it now. We'll analyze it when we move to more advanced editing methods. I will tell you how it works and will mention again that I never use it. In my opinion, it takes up extra space. The space where audio and video files are located in the timeline panel is customizable. We can change the length and width of tracks with the mouse or keyboard. Shift with plus and Shift with minus expand or roll all tracks to the maximum. We can move the mouse to the free space near the eye icons for the video and S or M for audio and turn the mouse wheel with the press Alt key. So, we can expand or roll the video or audio separately with this combination. Mouse wheel with Shift allows you to expand or roll all tracks with a rotation of the mouse wheel. Ctrl with plus and Ctrl with minus expand or roll only video tracks. Alt with plus and Alt with minus expand or roll only audio tracks. The layout with all the functions is customized. Right-click plus Customize. Consider the useful settings in the timeline display settings. First of all, video thumbnails allows you to show the icons of the video in order to navigate easier when you're editing. Sometimes it is useful to disable this option. For example, you have a large project. When you open it, the icons will start loading. It's throw with legs. On the other hand, you can simply roll the tracks as much as possible and avoid lagging. Secondly, video keyframes help to add an extra line to the video tracks. This function is useful when you are using effects. By default, it's not active because users of the program may accidentally touch this line instead of transferring the video itself. Thirdly, video names shows the video titles at the top of each track. Next, we have the audio waveform function that allows you to disable or enable the display of audio waves. Then there is audio keyframes. By default, the extra line is always active. Audio names displays the audio names on the top of each track. Let's consider duplicate frame markers. This function allows you to enable or disable the underlining of identical video fragments. The through edits function allows you to see false splices. And the fx badges setting allows you to edit gray squares with additional information to the video or audio tracks. It's better to use composite preview during trim, because the setting edits an additional window when trimming. And the last setting we'll analyze is the Save preset. It allows you to set the preset of the desktop layout. In order to go to the saved preset, you can set a combination of shortcuts. Now let's go to the settings of the timeline panel. Firstly, we consider work area bar. There is an outdated tool that allows you to choose the zone in which you want to calculate the video, but now all is duplicated by mark in and mark out, so work area bar is no longer necessary. The following setting is logarithmic waveform scaling that solves the issue of displaying the audio wave. The third function is audio waveform, use label color. The function is enabled. All audio waves will be displayed in green. It's better disable it to distinguish which audio wave belongs to the video and which audio wave is on the track itself. Each clip has its own standard color in Premiere, and the audio wave will be green. If the audio is linked to the video, it will match the color of the video. Let's consider rectified audio waveforms. It's responsible for turning on and off the cut audio wave. It makes the audio wave symmetrical and duplicates the information. It's enough to see half of the wave in order to work, so it's better to enable this setting. Time ruler numbers enables or disables the time display at the top of the panel. Start time is the very important technical function. The timecode usually starts from 0. Sometimes, when we edit a TV show, the terms of reference will indicate starting timecode is 1 hour. Here we can set the desired timecode. The create preset from sequence function allows you to create a preset from the created sequence. Well, the final setting is reveal sequence in project that allows you to find the necessary sequence in the project panel. So far, that's all about the timeline. Next, we consider the editing in different ways. Each editor uses an average of 2 or 3 approaches in each editing, so it's better to know all possible ways and use the one that is most convenient and meets the task.